All the links to the original posts are given in the description. So now let's head straight to the video. I think that my girlfriend is only with me because she can't be with her best friend. Should I just end the relationship? Sorry for the long post. I didn't realize how much I had to say until I got it all typed out. Thanks in advance to anyone who reads all this. I've been with my girlfriend Jordan for a little over 2 years. We live together and we have 2 cats. Up until this weekend, I genuinely thought everything was perfect in our relationship, which I know is what everyone says in these posts. But I really was thinking that I was going to ask her to marry me sometime in the next year. We don't ever get into arguments. Jordan is very sweet and easygoing, and normally we just mesh well on everything. Honestly, if everything in our relationship hadn't been so good up until now, I probably would have just broken up with her this weekend. But because things have truly been so perfect, I'm not sure if maybe I'm jumping to the wrong conclusion about what to do because my feelings got hurt. The other person who's important in this story is Jordan's friend Mark. She's known Mark for their whole lives because they both grew up in the same small religious community. Jordan isn't part of that religion anymore. She decided to leave the church when she was, I think, 19 and moved to the state that we live in now. Mark still is in the religion and apparently takes it really seriously. I'm told he now works for the church back in Jordan's hometown. Also, as far as I know, Mark is the only person from the religious community that Jordan still talks to besides her parents, which I'm mentioning because I now think it could be a red flag. So on set, I met Mark for the first time because he was in our city and Jordan wanted us all to have dinner together. At this point, I want to say, I will admit that when we were first dating and I found out that Jordan had a best friend who was a guy, I didn't really like it, especially because it seemed like they were on FaceTime with each other a lot. But since it was a childhood friend and they mostly didn't see each other in person, I just trusted Jordan that Mark was only a friend and didn't let it bother me, and eventually I got over it. So when we were going to dinner, I wasn't jealous or suspicious of Mark at all. If anything, I was somewhat excited to finally be meeting him since I've been hearing about him for 2 years. But then the way Jordan and Mark acted at dinner is what convinced me that there's something going on there other than just being best friends. I honestly don't even know how to describe it except to say that I've never seen two people act more obviously like they were in love with each other. They literally would not stop touching each other. They were constantly touching each other's arms and shoulders, and at some points they were actually even holding hands. They completely left me out of the conversation and were laughing about inside jokes. And every time they'd laugh, they'd do this thing where they put their foreheads together, or that was when they'd be holding hands. And then also they were just looking at each other in a way that I didn't feel comfortable with at all. It was honestly even worse than the touching. It just wasn't how anyone would look at somebody they're supposedly just friends with. I'm 100% sure that every stranger looking at our table thought that Jordan and Mark were the couple and that I was her brother or something. I felt like a third wheel the whole time, and Jordan didn't even notice how awkward she was making it for me because she was way too focused on Mark and all the attention she was getting from him. And that's really not like Jordan at all. Usually she's a lot more considerate and would notice immediately if I wasn't having a good time or if she was accidentally being rude and excluding someone at the table. So it was genuinely really jarring to be sitting there with her and Mark and basically feeling like I didn't know my girlfriend at all. It was like he turned her into a completely different person who didn't even care that I was alive. So finally, at one point when Jordan got up to go to the bathroom, I just said to Mark, "So are you into my girl or what's going on here?" Mark, "Nothing's going on at all. That ship sailed a long time ago." Me, "What does that mean? Did you guys date at some point?" Mark, "No, we never did. And then when she left the church, we both knew it meant that we were never going to. And we've accepted being in each other's lives as friends. There's nothing else going on at all." Me, "That makes it sound like the only reason you're not together is because she left the church." And all Mark did was shrug. Me, "Well, what if she came back to the church? Would you marry her?" Mark, "Oh, she's not going to do that. You might as well ask what would happen if a bicycle had 6 tires. And so then when Jordan came back to the table, Mark said to her, "Opus wants to know if we'd be married if you weren't a godless heathen." Jordan, "Why, did you two call your mom while I was gone?" And then she and Mark both just laughed about it and changed the subject. So because of dinner and that conversation and everything else that I've written about in this post, I really feel like Jordan and Mark are in love with each other and not just best friends like they say. And the only reason they aren't together is because they can't compromise about their religion. I think Jordan thinks that because she's okay with that decision, she expects me to be okay with being her second choice, and in the meantime she's actually secretly wanting to be with Mark. So that makes me think that I should probably obviously just have self-respect and break up with her, because I shouldn't be in a relationship with someone who would rather be with somebody else. But then the problem for me is that our relationship has been so perfect and Jordan has always treated me so well except for this one night. The only time she's ever acted like this was on the one occasion that Mark was around in person. Normally, even when she's talking to him all the time, she's never made me feel this way. So on the one hand, I'm wondering if maybe it doesn't matter what Jordan's feelings are for Mark. As long as he isn't going to be around, it doesn't actually seem to affect our relationship. So maybe I just need to cool off and go back to trusting her that they are indeed only friends, even if it seems to be true that they have complicated feelings for each other. Or should I just end things? Few responses from the community. Response 1. Touching foreheads and holding hands. I mean, the rest of it is over the line, but maybe excusable in some way. But this, I don't know how you didn't say something when it happened. It just seems so bizarre to me for friends to do that. There has to be something more. It just doesn't make any sense otherwise, no matter how you try and view it. Maybe they think of each other as the one that got away. Maybe some kind of tragic Romeo and Juliet, right person, wrong circumstances kind of thing. What I really think is that at the least, this will happen every time Mark makes an appearance in your lives. And at worst, you'll always be second to him, whether he's there or not. Response 2. If you talk to her about it, you know she's just going to deflect, deny, and deflect some more. You will have misinterpreted everything. You will have made their tender, loving reunion about you, embarrassed her friend, and you will be the bad guy who needs to apologize. But from your description, it sounds like she's in love with him and that she's settled for you. Deep down, you know that too. So is that okay with you? You okay being a good provider and playing second fiddle to their touchy-feely whenever they're together? You okay with any future kids of yours seeing them all over each other like that? Are you okay with your family and friends seeing them be like that at your future wedding? You okay with wondering what's going to happen if he leaves the church? If so, good luck to you. Response 3. Honestly, you are kind of in a tricky situation. Ike, why? But I feel like your GF might again shrug your concerns, saying something along the lines, I'm sorry you felt like that, but really it's just that he and I met after so long that I forgot. And she was talking to Mark this whole time, right? It wasn't like they were talking for the first time in years. So what kind of conversation was that? That she completely ignored you and your feelings. Bring this up to her in a serious tone. If she again tries to laugh it off, I am sorry, but she may value Mark more than you. Response 4. You need to immediately dump her. She obviously is only with you because of religious incompatibility with Mark, but she obviously wants to be with him. Her behavior at that dinner is gross and should be a deal breaker for anyone who has self-respect, regardless of how long your relationship is. That much flirtation and PDA with someone else in front of you and sidelining you all night should have never happened. The fact that she's comfortable being like that with another man right next to you for a whole public event shows you how much she values you and your 2-year relationship together. Hint, she doesn't. It doesn't matter that she's made up her mind that they won't be together for practical reasons at this time. Her feelings are obviously for him, and that won't change. So if those practical circumstances do change, she obviously won't stay with you. You are her second choice, and after 2 years you're still her second choice, and you will always be her second choice. Don't be a fool and waste your life on someone like that, who treats you like that. Response 5. Opus, you seem like a really good guy and I want you to be happy. Do you think you could move on? Or do you think it will play on your mind every time he is brought up? Every time you discuss future plans, do you think you will always think about Mark coming to ruin said plans? I ask because I've been in this situation before. I no longer felt excited about things in the future. I didn't feel I could trust my partner. I actually started to resent my partner. By your post, I think she overstepped boundaries. However, they were comfortable enough to act like that in front of you, which means maybe the feelings are there but not necessarily at the front of their mind. Maybe they've suppressed those feelings so much that they don't know how to act. I'm not sure. But the first thing I'd do is have a civil conversation with your partner. Observe how she reacts. If she becomes very defensive, it may mean that she's in denial. But Ike, your girlfriend, you do.
If you like the story, hit the like and don't forget to subscribe the channel, and thanks for watching.